Hey everybody, Wayne here. Welcome. Say hi in the chat if you're here. If you're a loyal subscriber, say hi. If you're just someone who wants to see what's going on in the wargaming community, say hi also. We'll give it a little bit for people to trickle in. So this is my first broadcast from my new gaming studio, my new man cave here at our new house. So I will go into a little bit of detail on our move and everything. We want to get a few more people in. Because people are dying to know the story of my life, right? That's what everyone wants to know. Joey, hello. Tim says hello all. Mike. Hey Mike, how you doing? All right. Yeah, well, like I said, people trickle in. Do a little recap of what I got going on, and then dive into the topic of the day. Ooh, controversial. A little bit. We'll cover it. I know some people were asking, kind of see what was going on. And when I used to do my live streams every week, I would like to kind of cover what was going on. Not everything happens in the community, but just things that are maybe catching people's eye, things I think that a lot of us we should be aware of and we want to know about. We want to know more detail on. So, and we'll go into detail on all that stuff. So, David, thank you. Glad to be back. Yeah, it's so glad to be back, man. Let me tell you, doing these videos again, getting war game. Well, let me start at the beginning. Getting settled into our house, right? We moved 3 times, and I said I was going to wait to tell my story here, but I guess I'm going into it now. So we moved from Missouri. So remember, we lived in Missouri. For those who've been following my channel for years here, those I've talked to, we lived in Missouri. Our son was born, and he had his challenges, but he is kicking butt, by the way. Little Vern is kicking ass. We decided, hey, we got to move up north where the family is. So we did that. And long story short, I won't go into all the details. We moved around. So we moved to Minnesota, went over to Wisconsin, went back to Minnesota. We bought a house. We are finally settled in. I'm getting the man cave, getting the basement set up here. A little recording studio. So you can see right over here where I actually record my videos. And I'm going to do like a quick little video one day, probably just take you around. We'll take a 2-minute video, but just to show around, getting my shelves set up, different games on here. So my tchotchkes, Packers, Badgers, big football guy. What can I say? Herm, great to see you. Yeah, getting settled in, obviously family comes first, right, guys? I think pretty much all of us can agree. And it is amazing just to have the family getting settled in and a family be happy and have, everything with my son going well. And, he's getting the therapy he needs and getting everything going. My wife's doing great. The dogs are doing great, right? But for even my little bit of mental sanity, getting back into the hobby, getting back into what I love doing and I did for years. And I missed it. I missed it for those, 7 months or so I wasn't posting. I didn't play any games either. It was just like the moving, working on and off, just doing all kinds of stuff. So, stressed about the moves, right? The 3 moves, all that stuff, selling a house, buying a house, almost buying another house. I could go into it, but just get a chance to play war games. And for me, I love doing the videos. You guys know that I've talked about it many times. I love doing the videos. I just love making them. And I put them up and I love seeing people say, hey, they enjoyed it and they want to get that game now. Or even if they're like, I don't know if that game's for me now. Hey, at least I helped educate them and help hopefully entertain a little bit of my videos. And then also, I get people to comment and say, hey, you missed this rule. Hey, you pointed it out. I made the rule. I made a mistake though. So thanks for pointing it out. But I know I just love making the videos. I love doing this whole hobby. It's a great hobby. That's why I'm doing this today. We're talking about a hobby that we all love. So, yep, Gary. Yeah, things are going pretty well right now. Much better than they have been. Certainly health wise, family wise, all that stuff. Yeah, there's nothing fun about it. Selling a house, almost buying another house, moving, living in an apartment for a while, then moving finally into a house, and it's a different house too than we had in Missouri. So it's there's some things that I'm not super in love with. There's some things that I like, but it's also this life, right? This is, you have compromise, and you have things that, hey, you say, you know what, we're going to live with this, and we can be happy here, and that's where we're at right now. So, yeah, unfortunately, so me, born in Wisconsin, Packers, Badgers, in my blood, and to have to live in in Minnesota, but we're on the river, so we're right on the Mississippi River, right on the border with Wisconsin. So thankfully, there's a lot of Packer fans here too. So, and my Badgers just beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers and got the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe. They got that back. So, all right, okay. So I guess what I wanted to address today, and we got enough people in here. And I know people are going to watch this later on. So what I always want to talk to, like I said before, I love their community, and I hate to see our community fragment or have bad things. I think that one of the things I've talked about before that I've identified, in my opinion, and this is all my opinion, all this is my opinion I'm about to say, is that I hate when our community fragments, and I think our community is a little fragmented. It has been, not based on these comments, or this joke or whatever you want to call it, and we'll get into it, but based on the fact that we have kind of some people over on Content World, and we have some people over on Board Game Geek, and we have some people on Facebook, and then we have people that have left Facebook and they're on Twitter/X, and then they're leaving Twitter and X because of their reasons, right? And then they're trying to go to different social media platforms. And our community is a niche within a niche, right? Like, it is not big enough to survive or to thrive. I should say survive. Things will survive no matter what, but to thrive, being too fragmented and too spread out. So, and I'm not saying, hey, we need to all just band together and go to Content World or go to Board Game Geek or anything like that. But, anything that divides us like that, this community, is gonna hurt it or slow down growth, slow down the awareness. It's gonna hurt the reputation, right? And things like this, when they happen, which now we'll go into, the joke that was made and the comment made, it just hurts the community. And I don't like that. I don't think anyone who's a part of this community likes it. And I saw something, but I really about what happened. And then but I didn't know a lot of details or any details really. And then last night I tuned into, Aardwolf and so Gary and Dan, their show, for a little bit. I just tuned in for a little bit and I saw some comments about it, and it made me go kind of read what happened and watch the video. And I said, okay. And, I know Gary, and I don't want to speak for anybody. Again, everyone has their own opinion. And I know one thing Gary said was a lot of us in this community, we know each other. And if you're a content creator or someone who makes videos, your YouTube channel, whatever, you know even more people probably because you just interact with them. You not only have people that comment on your videos and post on Facebook or message you on Facebook and post on Twitter. We also have people that email you. And I know I do. I'm sure Gary has the same thing. Liz Davison does, et cetera, et cetera. So these, I've talked to these people, everyone that's involved in this or that was part of this like little podcast, this live stream, I've either talked to or been on their live stream before, like been on one of their podcasts, except for Fred, is it Serval or Serval? Fred Serval. I've not talked to him before at all. So not even like email, nothing like that, versus Brant and Liz I have. So what we're talking about today, at least the dark humor part of it, right? Dying Wargamers, dark humor, comments made that some people took offense to. And, we're not going to solve anything today, but we should be aware of what's going on, aware of comments that are made, and we can see what Fred said. We can watch his apology. We can read his apology, and we can see, I don't have Aardwolf, the video pulled up of him, and not to put words in his mouth, but him basically saying, I don't know if I accept the apology. He doesn't know if he's 100% genuine on that. So this was 4 days ago, and I will have, hopefully it should pop up here. All right, so you guys can see, you should be able to see Wargame Archaeology, the many deaths of Wargaming. So Beyond Solitaire, Liz Davidson, which again, I did a video, I've talked to her many times, email, Facebook. We did record a podcast and we talked about a bunch of stuff, like an hour and a half. And unfortunately it wasn't able to get posted. There were some audio issues. But me and her said we would do another show in the future. So we'll have to do that. But talked to her before. And Brant, I have been on the mentioned dispatches. I've been on there once talking about solitaire wargaming. Then I've talked to him via email a few times. I know when they had a video on the Charlies, I had posted a kind of a rebuttal video, half tongue-in-cheek, half serious, and we talked about that. So just letting you guys know kind of what my relationship with is these people. And then Fred, I've never talked to Fred at all. I really don't have any sort of opinion on him or his viewpoints. But when, they did have this live stream is, hey, the many deaths of wargaming, the concept of the graying of the hobby, right? Wargamers getting old, and then the idea. And I know, and I did not watch this whole thing, so I will say that right away. I wanted to find the part that stood out for controversial. I can't comment on the rest of it, but I know that I did see a little bit of Brant, sharing some little like snippets over time, right, from magazines from 70s, 80s into today, right, of people saying, "Oh, the hobby's getting older, hobby's graying, hobby could be dying, etc." And this is not a new topic. This is not something new. It's something that's been talked about before and will be talked about in the future. So now they are talking about that, right? So you have that in mind. That's the topic. And Fred makes a comment, a joke, whatever you want to call it. You'll see, and we'll play it, and then I'll talk about kind of what I noticed in the video a little bit, and then we'll discuss it a little bit more. So. All right, you guys, hopefully you guys can hear this. Let me know if you can't. I'll play it. Let me know if you can't, but be about the next 30 seconds or so, and you'll hear Brant's talking, and then Fred will respond to him.
Your title screen was, wargaming is dying again. I don't know that anybody's looking around at wargaming going, man, wargaming is dying. Wargamers might be dying, but I don't think.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, Brent. Like that's it might be good for the hobby that a few of them die. That's the. But to be fair, I think it's a really good point that what you're saying, Liz.
So yeah, it's a really short clip. You heard what Fred said, right? Maybe it's a good thing for the hobby if some of them die. I'm gonna comment right away and say that, when he said that, you got what I would consider, and again, I'm speaking, this is what I think, a nervous chuckle out of Brant, right, from Armchair Dragoons. And Liz doesn't, I think she kind of maybe had a little bit of a grimace on her face. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't laugh, doesn't say anything. Brant just kind of has like a nervous chuckle, like when someone says something that you don't agree with, or you're just nervous, maybe you do agree with, but you're also like, oh, this is sensitive, this, I don't know. And you kind of have a nervous chuckle. That's what the impression I got from it. Later on, Fred went and posted, and I did take a screenshot in case it got deleted or edited, but here it is. It's still there. And he is Homo Ludens 1871 here. And let me check to see, by the way, you guys should have been able to see. So let's go back, and we'll go back. Hopefully you guys heard it. I think you should. I think I did a little test run. You should have been able to hear what he said. I saw someone say, wow, so probably. This is Fred's apologies. Again, this is his account. If you check it, you follow the link. It's his YouTube account. Excuse me. I wanted to take a moment to address a comment I made in the stream that made some people react. My intention was to reflect, in a somewhat nihilistic and dark way I admit, on the natural process of change and regeneration within our community. However, I realize that it may have come across as insensitive to some, and for that I am genuinely sorry. To those who felt hurt by my words, please accept my heartfelt apology. The last thing I want is to alienate members of this community that I care a lot about, as I hope this series proves. That ends the paragraph. Next paragraph. On a lighter note, I've noticed some irony among a few in our community. To those who often criticize wokeism and lament that we can't say anything anymore, I can't help but smile at the contradiction of you being offended by my comment. It seems that anti-woke are kind of snowflakes. Next paragraph. In all seriousness, though, my goal is to always foster a welcoming, vibrant, and diverse community where we can share our passion for wargaming. Let's continue to engage in open, respectful conversations and grow together, respecting each other's perspectives, even when they differ. I'll do my best to be careful in the future. So there's a couple things unpacked from that statement that he made. I think that, there's an apology there, right? Okay, there's a written apology from Fred. Now, for a little bit more of a backstory, I think most people here who are watching probably already aware. Mark, is it Rogero? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Sorry, Mark. And he's very open about his battle with terminal cancer. He's very open about it on Facebook, on the internet, his online presence. So I don't mind talking about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't talk about someone's medical issues or medical history. Now, I've never had cancer. However, my wife, a few years ago, 4 years ago or so, was diagnosed with stage 3C colon cancer. It was a shock to us, and for a woman in her 30s to be diagnosed with colon cancer is incredibly rare, and it was a shock. Now she went through 6 months of chemotherapy, and it's been 4 years, and she's in remission, and she is thriving, and she's doing fantastic. So, while having never gone through it, and I hope I won't, I certainly have some empathy with people who are going through a battle with cancer or any other terminal disease or any other disease that at least is life-threatening, right? For my wife, it wasn't terminal, thank God. But, thoughts were there if I would lose her. And I certainly would never want anyone joking about that. And so I think what we're looking at here is that, with Mark and his very public battle in the wargaming community, these comments by Fred don't come off well. That joke, I should say, right? That joke of maybe some wargamers should die off. Maybe they'd be better for the hobby. It's obviously a poor joke. I think all of us can agree. He apologized as well, so he obviously agrees. It was a very poor joke, poor in taste. It's bad timing in our community ever. You should never say that. It's also bad timing right now, again, with some of our members going through these public battles with their health and knowing that they're going to pass away and we're going to lose them as humans, as people with their families, and as part of our community, as friends of ours on, whatever. We see them in conventions. We talk to them on the internet. I don't care if you only talk on the internet. Someone can be a friend. And so that he knows, Fred knows, and that's why he did this apology. Now, when I look at the apology, the written apology here, always it's appreciated that he said this, right? He didn't just double down and say, well, it's a joke, take a joke. One thing I don't like, though, is looking at that fact that he apologized. He then goes back to, is this a joke again? What are you saying? When he says, on a lighter note, I've noticed some irony among a few in our community. Viewers will often criticize wokeism and lament that we can't say anything anymore. I can't help but smile at the contradiction of even offended by my comment. It seems that anti-woke are kind of snowflakes. And then he follows with an end paragraph. In all seriousness, though, my goal is to always foster a welcoming, vibrant, and diverse community. I don't think that that's welcoming a vibrant and diverse community. I don't think that's, we share a passion for wargaming. We do. Open, respectful conversations. How is that respectful? How is that respectful to people? And, this hobby, just like life, has people from all walks of life and from different political spectrums, different sides of the aisle, different parts of the world. People are going to have different opinions on things. And that's okay. It should be allowed. Just his comments, the way he made them with Fred, the fact that he had an apology and then in the exact same post made that comment about people who, are people being offended, and then anti-wokes, who's a snowflake. Those are such charged terms. We all know that. Those are such charged terms in the current world. So to say those things, it just takes away from your message, Fred. It's not, I don't think it's appropriate, and I don't like it that he said that. I don't like it whether you are someone who's woke, anti-woke, I don't care. Throw labels out of here. Why are you saying those things in what's supposed to be an apology post? We have to be careful. When it comes down to the end of the day, we have a growing community of people. And I think that, we have just a wonderful community, and there's different opinions, and people can have those different opinions. And I try to be positive. I try to be positive with my messages, but I also don't want to shy away from stuff. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what was said. Let's talk about this idea of wargamers dying, dark humor. Is it okay? Is it not okay? People will be people that will say what they want, and they will make inappropriate jokes. I think that we shouldn't, and here's another charge term, canceling people, right? We shouldn't cancel someone for making a mistake, for saying something that they regret, especially if they clearly, honestly regret it. However, if someone makes a comment, makes a joke, and it's really dark humor, and if you do watch that video more, you can see some people's comments. There's some people that are clearly upset right away in the video, because it was a live stream. We then get people that, also train of thought for a second. People are upset when they saw that, and it is, how do I phrase this? You have to be mindful that if you say something, you may have to table your ego, especially as a wargame designer, a publisher, a content creator, right? You may say something that people find offensive or that just doesn't land right. And whether you thought it was the right thing to say or not, you may have to come out and have an apology. I haven't had too many things that I've said, so I try to keep things a little lighter. But again, we do talk about serious stuff here and there. But I try to just have fun with the hobby and just be a big proponent of it, right? And just a big champion of it. But if I say something that is truly in poor taste and offends people and hurts their feelings, and I hope that people do call me out, right? Legitimately call me out and say, hey, this, Wayne, that wasn't right. You shouldn't have said that. And if I can understand, I'd like to think that I would understand that, what, that was a mistake. And yeah, that charge term of canceling someone. Should we cancel them for that? No. But Fred, man, I know you're not watching this. You probably won't. But the fact that you then apologize, but in that same apology, you start talking about wokeism and snowflakes. Oh, come on, Fred. Is that a true apology? I don't know. I don't know Fred. I don't know his heart. I don't know what he thinks. I just know that it certainly isn't. It comes across disingenuous, right? It just does not seem like he's honest, right? It seems like, hey, I'm going to post 3 paragraphs of one's an apology. Second one is me making a joke again, right? A joke in poor taste, maybe not as bad, but not in good taste. And then finally saying, hey, I have a love and I just want to foster this community. Well, you're not doing that with those kind of comments, Fred. So, my video here, I wanted people to be aware kind of what happened and some of the steps along the way. I didn't want, because even when I went in and I saw some comments during the video, Artie and Dan's video, I was like, what happened? What did Fred say? Where was it? And all this stuff. So I wanted to play that and for you guys to see that. So look at comments here for a little bit, kind of see what people are saying. So there's a lot. I missed a lot of them. So we'll backtrack a little bit. Sorry, guys. You guys may have a conversation while I've been talking / lecturing / whatever. No, hopefully not lecturing. Herm, and hopefully if you guys don't mind me sharing your comments on the screen here. Herm says this was not a joke, nor an editorial opinion about a game designer. Was wishing a huge segment of how he did it for the betterment of the hobby. That's a red line for me. Right. So, related to that, and I don't want to make this it's not about me at all. I'm just talking about this, but I'll very quickly bring it up, which pretty much all anyway, right? The whole thing that happened when I posted my negative review of Devil Boats from Compass Games, and I was banned for about 12 hours from a solitaire wargaming group because one of the moderators at the time, I think he play tested the game and he liked the designer and all this stuff. So he banned me, and then he kind of went AWOL and he quit. He quit the group. I was unbanned pretty soon after by Derek. And, I got a lot of pushback from the publisher. The owner of Compass, said I was fake news. Then people were saying I had something against the designer, so I was out to get him. It was personal. I didn't know the designer. I had never met him. I just was very disappointed by the game and had a negative review, and I used humor at the end. Now, you could say, well, Wayne, what's the difference, right? You used humor at the end, and then some people got offended. But I'd like to think that the humor of me throwing a game in the trash, pretending to, filming it, as sort of a shock, but also just sort of the humor of like, man, I didn't like this game. Here's what you do with games you don't like. You throw them away, right? Versus making a joke about the fact that, hey, maybe this hobby would be better if those old people died off, don't you think? Which is literally what Fred said. I think that's where maybe the difference is, right? And now I had pushback, and mine was just about a game, not the designer, not the publisher, just the game itself. I was disappointed, and I filmed myself throwing in the trash. And I had pushback. I was getting banned from Facebook group, right? I have the publisher to this day has said stuff on his live streams about me and how I'm fake news, and that someone called me a real piece of work, and all these things, right? Very personal stuff over a game. I didn't wish anyone to die. I didn't say, now Fred didn't say anyone's name, but at the same time, like, you can't look at this hobby and say, yeah, wouldn't it be great if some of these people died off? Wouldn't it be a better hobby? First of all, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be, because you have a tremendous amount of passion, experience, knowledge in people, whether their age, they're 60s, 70s, 80s, or younger, right? We have people coming into this hobby that are learning primarily from games by, say, David Thompson, right? They're not traditional hex encounter games. But then they're discovering those, and they're discovering how fun those can be and how interesting those can be and how much you can learn about history and how much you can recreate history. I said it many times before on this channel. I think that what ties us all together for the most part is a love of history and a desire to kind of immerse ourselves in it, right? More than just reading a book or watching a movie or, going to see Napoleon in theaters. No comment. I'm just scrolling down the comments, everybody. But I think I'm going to play catch up a little bit and just kind of jump to the bottom a little bit. Just is too much for me to try to play catch up on all of them. So no, I want to hear what you got to say. We need a comment, official comment. Should have got you on here. So maybe Fred will be on Gary's show. Put him to the guns. Put him on the grill him a little bit. So. Suga Joe, irrespective of the comment, Red Flag Over Paris is a wonderful game, which proves that designing and commenting are diverse skills. Yeah, so right, they're not. Someone can design a game. Here's makes me think of somebody that I think that in the wargaming community, he's still overall respected, and many people love his work and enjoy him as a person. Arben Madison, right? Arben Madison was banned on Board Game Geek. I don't know all the details. I know it had to do with the first Jihad, which is a game that him and Wes Ernie designed, which, by the way, fantastic States of Siege style game. Check it out for sure. It is a good one. And he makes many great solitaire games, but that is a particularly good one. A lot of history too in it. And you do learn a lot of history about Islam in it. But I also understand that it can be a controversial topic. And unfortunately, and I don't know exactly what led down the path, but he was banned from Board Game Geek for it. I know he's probably saying, oh, I don't care. But there you go. You have a voice that was, suffered consequences for a game design. Now, I don't know Fred personally. I've never talked to him at all. I've talked to Arben Madison quite a bit, talked to him on Facebook. We've talked about his games, email, all those things, because I've covered his games so much. I don't think I've ever covered any of Fred's games. Red Flag Over Paris, and I know he has what's a guest of Robin Hood, a new one coming from GMT. And then I think maybe he has a couple others. It shows you that someone can design games, but the fact their persona or their online presence or just them, right? Them online as a person can have consequences to maybe the games they design, in Arben Madison's case, combined with maybe things they say. I don't think Fred's getting banned from anywhere, but I think you have that related a little bit, right? Yeah, no comment. Right. So, in Mo, being banned on BG doesn't take much. Talk about hypersensitive moderation. They're very sensitive over there to what people say. So I think what happens is you get, they look at it like if a number of complaints occur, they're going to err on the side of silencing people. Now, personally, I don't agree with that. I feel like people should be allowed to say what they want within reason. I'm a very big proponent of, the idea of like freedom of speech that stops at, right, the bad things, inciting violence, certain things we're not going to get into here. But for the most part, just because you disagree with someone, or even if you feel offended, doesn't necessarily mean that person shouldn't be allowed to say what they want to say, just because you feel offended. Now, there may be consequences, but I don't think it should be we silence them. Board Game Geek is different, right? Board Game Geek is not, they're not a public square. They're not an open forum. You can't just go say what you want. They have their rules, and they will silence you, temporary or permanent ban, depending on what you say or do to other people. So I'm always mindful of that when I'm there. Is it fair? No. Is it fun? Absolutely not. But it is something to be aware of. So when you are on Board Game Geek, and this is not anything against Arben Madison or anyone else who's gotten banned from there, there's plenty of times I've seen something or I want to make a comment and I do not. And I hold my tongue, even though maybe I would share my opinion. I'd share my opinion even on YouTube on a video, but I'm not going to there because I don't want to risk being silenced. I don't want to risk being banned from there. Now, obviously I'm someone that I'm active there. I post videos there. I comment, I threads, all this stuff I do. When I buy and sell board games, a lot of times I do it through the Board Game Geek marketplace. So I kind of need to be there. I don't have to, obviously. I could be banned from there and I would survive just fine. But, it's something that since I'm part of it, I don't want to lose that. And that's a little unfortunate too, by the way. But that's a separate topic, separate video, I'd say. Magnus, how you doing? Long time. Still working on your game for Legion Wargames? How's that coming along? Your narrative-driven bomber game? Let's get that made. Get that made, buddy, so I can start playing it and show it off on the channel. So, stacking limit. I got a short ban from Board Game Geek over the In Magnificent Style fiasco. So I remember when that popped up. I can't remember if I was back in the hobby yet or if I just had seen it. I stayed out of it. Sorry, Herm. Hey, I got your back in real life. Don't worry. But when it comes to some of these online arguments and stuff, no, not even worth my time, buddy. So. I'm late. Who did a thing? Fred Serval made a joke saying that older wargamers should die, that may be better for the hobby if some of them did. He then had a half-hearted apology, I would call it. And here we are. That's the short Cliff Notes version. Question: someone's personal life, divorce, death have a place in a hobby forum? If it's Joey, so are you saying, someone sharing their own life? I think that's if you're talking about that, like someone just like Mark, right? Who's sharing his journey with the terminal disease he has, terminal cancer, and his wife, right? Him sharing that to everyone. I think that's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's good for the hobby. And it doesn't mean that it needs to be everywhere. But if he has a place he feels comfortable sharing and it's allowed and people appreciate it, I think that's awesome. It just makes more of us. We're all human. We're all people, right? We all have our lives, and to experience that is wonderful. Just share that with somebody, and not as both the giver and then the receiver. Now, if you mean critiquing someone for anything that they've done in their personal life, barring criminal activity, public criminal activity, which my opinion on that. Yeah, no, I don't think it should be a thing. But I assume that's not what you meant. Yeah, Mo says, speaking of lost cause, trying to give an opposing view on Board Game Geek is just that. Hence why I don't post much over there anymore. Yeah, it's hard to, right? It'd be hard to really do that and have a strong argument, right? I love arguing with people in a healthy way. I would love to. I don't see that enough in our hobby. I don't see that enough in the board gaming hobby in general. I feel like you see people start to argue, and it either is, if it's on Board Game Geek, it degenerates it into people getting banned, or if you don't really see it on videos produced by most content creators either. I would love to have that. I'd love to have a little bit of a head-to-head. Let's argue a little bit, again, in a healthy manner, right? We have different viewpoints, different opinions. Maybe I can change your opinion, maybe not. But the key is you're connecting with people that are viewing it, right? As content creators, and Mo, you understand this. We're creating content that it's for us, but it's for everybody. It's from us, and there are people out there that will connect with your content that you didn't even know. You didn't know they existed. You didn't know who they are. But you'll start to then know that you'll get to know them. You'll see a name. You'll see the same name. Maybe they reach out to you, email, Facebook. You'll start talking to them. Now you've formed a friend. You have a relationship with somebody. And, but there's also, for every one of them, what is it? There's probably 10, 100 people that maybe watch your videos, maybe watch quite a bit of them, or they watch the ones that interest them and they enjoy them, but they never reach out to you, but they are part of the community, and there's someone that you've touched. Like, it's corny, but it's true, right? There's someone you touch with your videos, your content, and your passion for the hobby. So I think that when you have sort of these arguments, I love a healthy argument, because I think you can get people that then feel that. Because if you've ever watched a good argument video where you agree with one person and the other, and you get passionate about it, right? Because you're like, yeah, he's right, or she's wrong, or she's right. Oh my God, that's fun too. So I like to see a little bit more of that, but again, in a healthy manner. Can't do it on Board Game Geek though, because you're going to get banned. All right, Gary, you're banned. Yeah, I'm putting you on a 5-minute ban, 10-minute ban. How do I do that from here? Let's see. Right click. Oh, no, that's not it. I got to figure this out. What are you talking about? I love that game. Fantastic design by Red Madison. Wonderful game. Graphics, not so good. But yeah, board's really busy and all that. But man, what a fun design. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, on the very positive front. Got the house, got the man cave, still setting it up, still working on things, but I need to get, I think I need to get some sound dampeners up. When I'm talking to the camera, over here is my, whoop, right over there, is the actual recording area. Seems a little echoey. I think I need to get some sound dampeners over there on the walls. I was trying to avoid it. I put up the shelves, got some games on here, my books. But just, yeah, you can, sound echoes a little bit, but I'm so glad to be back. So glad to be back. Yeah, permanent or temporary, who knows? Wear that to a convention. Mo says you can debate even heatedly in a healthy manner that requires respect going both ways. We see no respect in this instance at all. Yeah, it's hard to view his Fred joke, right, and acknowledge that, okay, he made this joke. He then apologizes and then kind of doesn't apologize. And, here's, I don't want to rehash it, but it happened. It's something to be aware of, that he said that. And his apology, well, clearly not a lot of people respect the apology, and I'm probably one of them. So, we don't need to think of the idea that he said he wants to create a diverse, welcoming hobby and share a passion. Noble, very noble. And I say that, and I believe it though, and I try to live up to it. I don't know if making comments, even joking or trying to joke or whatever you want to call it, right, about people dying and then make the hobby better. Oh, you don't do that. Don't do that. As a person, don't do that, man. Like, would you say that in person to people? It'd be really cool if you died off, because I bet this place would be a lot better without you. Ooh, don't say that. Get out of here. Hey, how are you still talking? I need to figure out how to ban people on here. Our band Madison. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Now that's a shirt to wear. Who's your favorite designer? Our band Madison. What? Yeah, listen, like I don't want to beat it to death, but again, I think that hopefully this video helps some people now live, and then also people in the future watch this, they can see the comments that were made, right? Or the comment that was made. And for those who missed it earlier,
your title screen was, wargaming is dying again. I don't know that anybody's looking around at wargaming going, man, wargaming is dying. Wargamers might be dying, but I don't think.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, Brent. Like it might be good for the hobby that a few of them die. But to be fair, I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling Mo's comment here. A little more intentional, not as funny, if you want to call it a joke. So Mo here brings up a good comment here. Brant, should have called him on it right there. So, and I mentioned this earlier at the beginning of the stream when I played it the first time. In my opinion, again, I know Brant. I consider him a friend. Same thing with Liz. I have no relationship with Fred. Brant, I feel like he chuckles nervously at the comment. Liz doesn't say anything. They definitely don't laugh heartily, right? Like Brand makes a comment about like people are getting old and they are dying off because they're getting older. Fair. Just an observation. They all laugh. And then Fred makes his comment that maybe some should, maybe be better off if some people die off. You don't really get much of a response from them other than Brandt's, I feel like, nervous chuckle, right? Kind of that, okay. Like, why'd you say that? So, should he have called him out right away? Maybe. I can't speak for Brant. I can tell what Brant should do. I know Brant has, like I said, I've been on his show once. He's a good moderator. I think he lets people talk. And it wasn't his show to moderate, right? He was on there. It was Liz's show, Liz Davidson's show to moderate. It was on her channel, Beyond Solitaire, which is a lot of great work for the community. Speaking of which, someone who does do great work, Liz Davidson, right? Really promoting our community, good things, positive all the time. I mean, that's someone, if you can critique a game as well, which is appreciated. We don't want only positive. We need people to be honest, but she's a good ambassador for the game, for sure. Yeah, so Tim feels more serious originally thought. So again, yeah, that's why I wanted to play it again. I know it's probably some people have now seen it multiple times, probably like, what the heck? But I wanted to play it again so those like you who haven't seen it can see what he said, how he said it. And that's straight from not just me repeating something, but that's what he said. You watched the video and saw what he said. So oh jeez. Oh man. Oh, sorry, reading something on my phone. Yeah, it's just it. And from what I'm now seeing, and this is stories developing live, or folks. I got the earbud in. Stories developing live, everybody. Fred is saying some stuff on Twitter, X, commenting. Boy, it's tough, right? It's tough. I would say it's tough to like. It's tough to I don't want to try to. Gosh, what do I even say to this, Fred? Oh, Fred, what are you doing, man? Um, he messed up, right? Let's be honest, he messed up. You can. I think there are people out there that, and we're seeing some in the comments here. There's other people on Twitter, on Facebook that are really upset. And I think he did mess up, and his comment was not appropriate. I think it's pretty clear. The majority of people that are hearing it and are seeing it here in this chat and have seen it are saying, why did he say that? That's not right. It's not appropriate. And I don't see, and this is where, right, we had that little conversation earlier of, apologizing and then getting a chance to not be for another charge term canceled. Give him a chance, right? Well, he doesn't seem to be apologizing very well. I don't think his apology on Facebook was super honest. And now he's on Twitter, saying some things that I don't think that he. Let's see, what am I seeing here? So, next Thursday. Oh, so but he says he's gonna. Hobby famously has a limited number of seats. I forgot. Oh my gosh, this guy. Oh, so here's. Oh my. So here's something. Let me pull that up. So you guys can see these are some comments by Fred here on Twitter, on X. So he acknowledges people posting. Oops. What's the one here? Oh yeah. Here's Fred says, I told them already. Nobody listens. I drink the blood of old grogs. So, what? So that's second down, right? So I think it looks like, so people are posting. So here's where people shouldn't be doing. Looks like people are going to his game or his games and posting number one reviews. In my mind is people giving the middle finger, right? It's that version of it. Basically, they're posting one saying, because of that, I'm going to post a 1, lower the score of your game, which people shouldn't do that. That's stupid. It's childish. It means nothing. But for him to say, I told them already, nobody listens. I drink the blood of old grogs. Yeah, 1 reviews are dumb. This is childish. Agreed. Don't do that. If you guys are doing that, and I don't think you guys are doing that, of course, nobody here would do that, right? It's other people doing it. Don't do that. That means nothing. It doesn't help. And we don't have a cause here, right? But it doesn't help us. It doesn't do anything to get him to realize the mistakes, right? If there's any sort of, hey, Fred, you don't double down on this, man. And that's where I look at it is, Fred, don't double down on something like this, man. Like, if we are going to be one community or be supportive of each other, don't double down. Check the ego. And again, I've said this. If I say something, I would hope I would never say something like he did, just to be honest. But if I did, and I said something that was offensive, that would address something wrong, maybe it's a sensitive topic on a game or a designer, and I just said the wrong thing, or even maybe I had a bad day, and I'm not trying to say he just had a bad day. It's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about me. If I said something that you guys saw and said, oh, damn, Wayne, you can't say that. Don't say that. That's messed up. He said that. call me out, right? Message me, let me know what's going on. Say, hey, dude, people are not appreciating what you said. I would hope I would have the grace, right, to say, yeah, I messed up. I messed up big time. Not double down on it. God. Yeah. It's too much. So, I don't want to pound this in the sand too much. I think everyone's got the idea at this point of what was said, what was, what he said, responses. His now on Twitter saying stuff that, which, come on. I drink the blood of old grogs. Fred, what are you doing, man? God, that's, to me, that's just puts even bigger perspective on his half-assed apology on on YouTube, on the video, the War Game Archaeology video. So check it out yourselves if you want to. Liz Davidson, Beyond Solitaire. And by the way, they're involved. They're on there. Nothing again. Liz is amazing. Great ambassador of the hobby. Brant does a lot of great work. Whether Fred should have been called out on the spot or not, that's outside of the scope of, I think, this video of what I really want to talk about and focus on, which was Fred's comments, inappropriate comments, and apology, and educating you guys, making you guys aware, those who didn't know about it, say, hey, this is what happened. This is what, if you want to know what people are talking about, and in some of these spaces in the wargaming community, this is something. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't get why he's doing that. I didn't even realize that, obviously. Obviously didn't realize that. So, man, what a mess. Okay. Well, this is where those of you who tuned in for the breaking news can tune out. But, I think that overall, my kind of closing comments on this, not just with Fred, getting beyond him, with our hobby, I think it's only a growing hobby. And I think that, first off, I embrace all the new wargame designs. They're not all great, but I embrace them. I love seeing, now, don't get me wrong, I love seeing experienced designers as well, but I love seeing new designers and experienced designers coming in or staying in the hobby, right? I love that someone like Michael Taylor, who's been around forever, just released that new Velikia Luki, right up here, which I'm covering on my channel right now. Old school hex encounter design and game, but like, man, you know what? And I'll mention this in my review that's coming next week. Sneak peek here. Spoiler alert. I'll mention that I think it is a great game to recommend to people who are new to wargaming or want to learn hex encounter games, right? It's not just old games. We have new games being published that have their roots in, wargaming from decades ago. We also have designs by David Thompson. You have Card Driven, which have been around for many years as well, obviously. Card games, card war games, solitaire design games, specifically solitaire or solo friendly. My love of, the Blind Swords and its various systems, various like cousin systems. Conquering the Valley up here, right? With Shattered Union series, so card activation style. It's 2-player game, very solitaire friendly. So anyway, I love the hobby as it is. I love to see it grow. I love to see new designers, but I love to see designers with experience staying in the hobby. There is nothing wrong with people who've been in this hobby for decades, whether you are a designer, a publisher, content creator, you got a YouTube channel, you got 20 subscribers, and you're just starting videos. Get them up there. Get them on the internet. More the better. Let's spread the word. You know what I mean? Let's spread the word on X, right? On Twitter, on Facebook. Go on Board Game Geek. I know I've seen a lot of people like, Board Game is not very war game friendly. Okay, it's not. It's, as we've learned, it's not debate friendly. It's not argument friendly. You can't do that there. But you can share your opinions. People love to go on and share their opinions on Board Game Geek, right? Go on there. Go to the different guilds on there. Go to the pages. Post pictures, which I'd love to see more of that, by the way. People in regular hobby board games, not war games, but regular hobby board games, they love to show pictures of their stuff, and they post it on the pages on Board Game Geek. I'd love to see more of that with war games, because I'll go to war games that have been out for a while now, and I'll go to click to see what images, the pictures, and it's like maybe the publisher uploaded a couple pictures, and maybe a person has, but sometimes not. And it's like, man, I want to see some pictures of this stuff. I think that would only help us. So get out there, champion this stuff. That's what we want to see, right? I mean, you're not wrong, Mo. Like, get on here. We can disagree. Just like, don't be a complete asshole, right? Don't say in a half joking, half serious manner that people should die. That's not appropriate. Like, that's not right. You know, again, as someone that wife went through cancer and whose son, I'm gonna get teary eyed thinking about it, whose son was on, you know, born with a 20% chance to live, you know, and now he's thriving. I'm getting all teary eyed. Quick, end the stream. No, you know, I get it when I think about my son. Like, definitely have an appreciation for life, and as corny as it may sound, I have such an appreciation for life now. And I don't think we should make comments about people passing away or dying. And it'll be better for the hobby. No, it won't. It'll hurt the hobby. You know, we don't want to lose people. So you guys got me. You saw me crying on camera. Or did I get myself thinking about my son? Yeah, that's something too, Mo. I would love to see more people get on and make videos. You know, I don't think, and I'll see, and here's the deal. And I don't want to call out. Sorry, I saw Vern. I had to jump in with this. Vern kicked ass, took names, doing great. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. He is a little rock star. God, he looks so good too. If you're on Facebook at all, I post pictures here and there. Well, my wife usually does updates, and I just, you know, she puts my name on there. But Vern with an E, yeah, appreciate that. But yeah, he's a rock star. But anyway, you know, what I see, and here's the deal, and I don't mean to call it Brant. I saw Brant has made a couple comments about like people possibly gatekeeping, or people think Wargamers gatekeep. I don't think Wargamers actually gatekeep as much as people sometimes think, right? It's like a perception issue. I feel like there's a perception that Wargamers are gatekeeping. I don't think we do, not as much as the perception. So don't get me wrong. Sometimes we all posted something like, I don't know about this game, or I don't know about this, or what are they trying to say with this game, or this message, or this title. That happens, but that happens in all hobbies, right? But I will say that for sure, I would love to see more people, you know, get on YouTube, get on Facebook, share pictures. If you're like, well, I don't want to record videos, I'm not going to be a good video, whatever. First off, whose videos are good? Stupid Joe's. That's about it. Just kidding. There's some other good ones out there too. Mo does good work. Gimpy Gamer does. You know, those guys. But take some pictures, man. You know, like take some pictures of your games, make them fun, put a little filter on the picture, post it on Board Game Geek, post it on Twitter. You know, let people know what you're doing. Share that passion and love with others. Mo says gatekeeping. Still waiting on a concrete example of that. Stop tossing that word around without backing it up. Exactly. And yeah, I'll just reiterate. I definitely don't mean Brant says that per se, but I have been on, I think, so I've been on the podcast, I think with him, he said it. And then he mentioned it a little bit on this last one with Fred of like the idea of like Wargamers gatekeeping, and that some Wargamers are gatekeeping. And I just don't see it a whole lot. And if I do, like, man, I'll be the guy who jumps in and says, no. And so, you know, it's not so much I'll call someone out for it, right? Because I've seen a post where someone posted something and someone kind of makes a little bit of a snarky comment, particularly on Facebook and Board Game Geek. And I'll come in and I'll make a positive comment, kind of counteract it, right? It's like cosmic karma, the balance shifted a little bit. We got a Wargamer being a little sarcastic with somebody. I'll kind of jump in and be nice and kind of balance things out a little bit on the scales. I stand corrected. Roy says, had to go back and watch the earlier stuff. Fortunately, Fred seems to be showing his arrogant, unempathic immaturity. In time, that will surely change. I think we've all been there. Yeah, and like I don't know him. I haven't talked to him, so I can't comment on him as a person. I haven't played any of his games. It's just a little unfortunate, right? I wish I knew a little bit more about him, maybe. But outside of that, right, it's like there's also times, right, where we can say it doesn't matter who you are or your life experiences. If you say something negative like he did, saying that the hobby would be better off if some people died, right? You don't need to know who he is as a person to say, nah, it wasn't an okay comment. That wasn't appropriate, and he shouldn't have said that. And then now we're seeing this sort of the half-assed apology on the YouTube page. in the comment section, and then now he's on Twitter saying, I drink the, what has he said? I drink the blood of old grogs. That's, God, dude, don't say that, man. Come on. And here's the, maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't care. So, which I almost would rather he didn't apologize then. So let's talk about that. Why apologize if you really don't care? If you're like, dude, this is how I feel. Okay, stick by your guns at least, man. Yeah, just, or says, public venue, very openly insensitive. We have some wonderful people in the hobby that are going through a lot, and you could say, well, there always will be. Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, that's part of life. Don't you have family? I mean, most of us, and people have different situations in their life with family. May have more, may have less family members that they're close to, but many of us will have family members. You have younger ones. You have my brother. So my son is just turned 2 in October. After his struggle, right? His struggle to survive. And now he's a freaking little badass. My brother just had a boy, and he's, 2 months old, and he's doing great. Everything's fine. But and then I have, my dad, I lost my dad to COVID 2 years ago. But my mom's still around, and my grandma's still around. I have a grandma that's 93, 94. She's still around. But I'm going to have loss, right? I had loss from my father. I lost my father. I will lose my grandma. Maybe sooner rather than later. She's older. She's 93. And she's awesome. She's a tough woman, but it's going to happen. So, we all suffer loss in our life, and we all lose people. So, if in our hobby, we have people that we are losing, it's not something to make jokes about. It's not something I don't think we need to, I think we shouldn't make humor. We shouldn't be funny. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. But I think we need to be aware of it, and we can be supportive. And if they want to be supportive, right? It's all about people who want to be. If someone comes into the hobby, and I know like Mark, right, sharing his journey with his terminal cancer and talking about it with everybody, that's awesome. It's awesome that he's doing that. Not everyone wants to do that. Not everyone's going to do that. You lose people. I've seen it on the war game groups. That someone posts and says, hey, I'm the wife of so-and-so, I'm the friend of so-and-so, they passed away. They were a wargamer for their entire life, or I don't care if it was a wargamer for the last 2 years. They were part of the hobby, part of this sort of shared passion, shared zeitgeist we got right, for this. When we love it. We all love it. That's why we're here, right? That's why we're watching this video. It's why you play these games. Why I got these games behind me and on the shelves, and got these books, and because I love history, I love the hobby, and I make videos because I love it, and I want to share that passion with people. So I'll comment on this, Gary. On the other hand, it's definitely the perception. He's talking about gatekeeping. Sorry. So he's saying concrete examples. He said it's definitely the perception. We should be making a conscious effort to counteract it, and that's the reality, right? It's all about perception. So in defense of maybe Brant saying, talk about gatekeeping multiple times, and I'm sure again if I've seen it now in the limited amount of free time I have to watch his videos and his content over at Armchair Dragoons, I'm sure he's said it more, and he's not the only one. We have to then be aware of it. And sometimes it's more about perception, right? So it's not the reality. So if I agree with Mo that says I don't see a whole lot of gatekeeping. It's not a huge thing. And Gary said the same thing here. But that's the perception. We do need to fight the perception. It's right. It's the whole idea of you say a comment if you think it's a joke, and you really do, which again, not even outside of what Fred said, you make a comment you think's funny and it doesn't land. What do? Especially if it's like an offensive one, or if it's just like it toes the line and people are like, do you double down? Do you say, no, you fight it, right? You say, well, I was just trying to be funny, but I'm sorry I said that. I was just trying to be funny, and again, not what Fred said. His is a different category. But I'm making a joke, right? It just doesn't hit. And my wife is like, that wasn't very funny. All right, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize. I understand it. I'm fighting the perception. The perception was, I thought it was funny. She says it's not. Well, the perception of wargaming, if we have people that do think we have gatekeeping going on, it may not even be gatekeeping, right? Or it's very limited, right? As Gary says, like he's seen a few examples in years, his many years. Gary, his old ass, right? Many years. But we need to fight that then. Let's I don't care if it's not a problem. Let's make sure it's not a problem by being welcoming. And it's easy to do, right? It's easy to be welcoming to talk about different topics, to be supportive when someone comes in. Hey, I'm interested in this. Give them good advice, give them good recommendations, be supportive. Hey, I don't, and they may say something negative, and that's a big one, right? They may say, well, I don't know if I agree with this. I don't know if I don't like this. Be positive about it. Well, how about, have you looked at it from this perspective? Look at it from that perspective. You can start to, if not change people's opinions, because that's who, right? Who are we to say that we should change someone's opinions? But you kind of implant that idea in their head of like positive thought and positive things about wargaming, about getting into the hobby. It's all about perception. Go to Board Game Geek, the non-wargaming areas, and you will literally see people commenting. Watch videos, watch Dice Tower videos. You will see them talk about how the wargaming community and grognards, the perception is that it's hard to get into and that they're very protective. These old grognards are very protective of their hobby, which I don't know if I see that, but that's what a perception is in a lot of ways. So I do agree with Gary when he says that. So. Oh no. Roy says stuck on what is a war game. We'll table that one. Actually, you know what? We're actually not going to table it. We're going to parking lot that one. So Mo, and sorry Mo, keep posting about you here. Mo says hobby gamers are misinformed, and I think some of them are. But let's stop there, right? Let's not be too negative. Instead of saying they're misinformed and they're doomed. No, they're misinformed. How do we fix that? How do we inform them? How do we change their view of wargamers and of the wargaming hobby? We become proponents of wargaming. We show how fun and interesting and educational and rewarding it is, right? And if people in hobby gaming, right, so outside of wargaming, but still cardboard gaming, miniatures, but I think especially we're talking about like playing Euro games and things like that, how can we get them to respect wargaming, respect wargamers, and maybe start viewing it a little bit like, hey, I could try this, right? You don't have to be a war gamer. You can be someone who just enjoys war games, enjoys history, enjoys the hobby, but also enjoys other types of hobby gaming. You know, there's a lot of that. You see people that are kind of like, there's some sort of like barrier, sealed off area. This is the zoo where all the war gamers are kept. Well, no, you can. There's no walls or gates or anything like that. You know, gatekeeping, right? Come on in. Steve says, it's easy to be, and Steve, by the way, I don't know if I said hi. Nice to see you here. Easy to be welcoming. Yes, I'm all for the growth of the hobby, but like welcoming an aggressive drunk to your house party, some people are best avoided. Right. So, you know, it's the idea of who should be welcomed. I think the default mode of us war gamers, should be welcoming everybody. You know, your automatic reaction should be, hey, let me shake your hand. Nice to see you. Here's what I like. What are you interested in? Here's something you may like, right? That's what should be the default mode. And then if you see people and you experience them and you're like, oh gosh, they should be excluded. Well, maybe they should be excluded. But, you know, in more of a, less of a gatekeepy way and more of a, hey, I'm just not going to interact with them, right? It's like, let them die on the vine style. You know, I'm not going to interact with them. If they have negative things to say about wargaming, maybe I just won't interact with them. You can always defend wargaming, though. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we should defend it as well. Roy says, I thought Undaunted Normandy and the others were war games. Apparently not. They're deck builders. I don't get that. Deck building is a mechanic. I didn't know war games was a mechanic. Right. So I don't, yeah. And I haven't seen if there's a big discussion on Undaunted Normandy. I know I mentioned David Thompson, right? So he's the designer of Undaunted Normandy and the other Undaunted games. Very much games that, you know, have been featured on the Dice Tower. Games that cross over from wargaming to hobby gaming. They should be welcomed. You can look at them and say, well, they're not great simulations. True. Doesn't mean they're not good games. Doesn't mean they're not maybe good war games. They represent history. They allow you to relive it. They allow you to experience it either as it was or change history, right? Well, alternative history style, right? You want something to happen. You want to be able to recreate it with our war games, right? We love when we can recreate history, but we also want to be able to do things a little differently. Something like those types of games, right, are that idea, right, of a more attractive package, higher quality components. So they're starting to see some really high quality components from DVG, Worthington, etc. But we want to see that welcome. So yeah, if someone says, "Hey, that's not a real war game," well, I would disagree with them. I'd say, I don't know what you mean by that. Is it not a great simulation? Well, probably not. I don't have a lot of experience with the Undaunted. I haven't barely played them. I think I messed around with it, one of the games, the North Africa one. But what does that mean, right? Let's not gatekeep that and say, well, it's not a real war game. No, it's a war game. It just may not be a great simulation, but that's okay. Those do not always go hand in hand. Let's be honest on that, right? So, and we have someone, Joey here, who's commenting saying, hey, some of the things he's seen at places like Consim World. I think you mentioned, right, Joey? Consim World, in the ASL. So Event Squad Leader, OCS, Operational Combat Series Circles, new gamers try to become part of the conversation. So seeing some negativity from those gamers, or some of them, right, or from a person. And that's, hey, if Joey saw it, I'm sure it happened. Hopefully I'd like to avoid that stuff in the future, right? Let's get away from that. And I think it's okay that someone, has a passion for a certain type of wargaming. And if that is the extremely complex, we can lifestyle gaming, right? That's a whole other loaded topic. But that almost lifestyle game of ASL or OCS, or just something that takes a lot of time and effort to learn and be involved in, and is striving to be more of a simulation than Undaunted game or a States of Siege game. Those are valid to be a fan of those and prefer those. Absolutely. I do think we can do better, a little bit more of a welcoming attitude of, hey, check this out if you want. Let me tell you though, there's a lot of complexity here. It's going to take time to learn, but it's super rewarding when you do, right? Again, being positive. It seems cheesy, but it's true. Because I think the best things you see in hobby gaming are when people are positive, right? And are welcoming and are like, and again, I go to think of the Dice Tower, because I've been a Dice Tower watcher and fan for years. There's a lot of positivity at the Dice Tower. And I think that has done a great job in their community and in the overall hobby community of being positive about these games. So we could definitely see that. I want to say more of that, but yeah, that's an idea of keep in mind, is that if you're someone who has a lot of knowledge and experience with a certain type of war game, a certain system or publisher, that's where your passion is. Try to be welcoming. Doesn't mean you need to bend over backwards for everybody, but try to be welcoming of new people and of people that maybe want to learn it. Give them a recommendation. I think that's a big one, right? Say, hey, I recommend this game to get you to start learning. You can download the rulebook from this website and you can try this game. And if you want to learn it, but hey, just so you know, there's gonna be a lot to it, but don't underestimate people. That'd be the one thing I see sometimes. I won't call it gatekeeping, but I see people underestimate people. Well, it's really hard to learn. Like, so you had to learn, right? Implying that you are smarter than everyone else because you learned this game system that was very complex. Well, no, you just took you time to learn it, right? Time and energy. Give them a chance, or at least give them the opportunity to go down that path if they want to. And they may start it and say, never mind, I'm going back to, this other game or these other games. Or, okay, at least we tried though, right? At least we, as proponents of wargaming, tried. Daniel, I've been waiting here the whole time for you. You finally showed up. I'm about to call it. I'm doing this for an hour and 10 minutes. My voice is getting raspy. So we have such a wonderful hobby. We do, guys. And I think that, we have such a wonderful hobby, and I mean that. And something like this is a road bump, speed bump, but I think we should acknowledge it. And I'm glad I made this video because I felt like I wanted to talk about it and share my thoughts. And I don't want to just do it on a recorded video. I want to do it live. But I'm glad that we got to talk about it as well, because I think more people can be aware of comments made by somebody in our community. It also allows us to kind of look at something and say, hey, is that, maybe I shouldn't act like that. Maybe I shouldn't say that, right? It's the idea of, right, if you sweep everything under the rug, nothing's ever acknowledged, nothing's ever dealt with. Well, if you have someone who made a comment that is inappropriate, in my opinion, and many others, and you're acknowledging that, well, maybe now we have other people that'll look at that and say, well, yeah, it's kind of that was not the right thing to say, right? Now, you may have people that emulate that and, support what he said. And you could go on, I'm sure you could go on Twitter, Facebook, and maybe find some Board Game Geek or wherever and find some people say that. But, seeing comments like that and acknowledging them, not hiding them, just acknowledging them, dissecting them a little bit like we did, right? Hey, is this, okay, he said this, then he posted this sort of apology, and now he's posting about drinking old Grog's blood. Like, okay, now we not kind of know what his feelings are on the matter. He shouldn't even apologize in the first place. But secondly, now more people are aware, right? That, hey, I don't think we can acknowledge it's not okay to make jokes about people dying. Specifically, we have aspects of our hobby saying, yeah, the hobby's gonna be better off when these older people die off. Like, what are you talking about? That's such just an ignorant statement. And again, whether it's a joke, a statement, and some people are more passionate about this than I am about what Fred said, and I respect that as well. I don't like what he said, and that's a mild reaction to what I've seen some people, how their reactions to what he said, and I don't like it. I don't think he should have said it. I think he should have actually apologized. The fact he didn't really have a real apology shows me who he is and what he really thinks about the wargaming community. So whatever he says about inclusive and more people and passion, and he wants to build a community, sure doesn't sound like it to me. So yeah, and that's the other part of it too, is just to bring in the idea of woke, anti-woke, throwing the term snowflake. Those are charged terms, Fred. Like, that's not, you're not, yeah, you want to have a video of you, like me right here, and I want to just spew something in my opinion, and I want to get people riled up, sure, use those terms, right? Go for it. But when he said that as part of an apology, how does that work? You know what I mean? Like, need to get some PR firms here in wargaming. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of, sorry guys, reading comments here. A lot of stuff. So I'll, let me bring over. So we'll run it through one more time. So then this is kind of cap the video. We'll end it here in the next few minutes, but that way anyone tuning in can catch it in a few different points. So 4 days ago, Working Archaeology, there was a podcast or a live stream on Beyond Solitaire, Liz Davidson's channel. Her, Brant, and Fred. Brant from Armchair Dragoons, and they were talking about the graying of the hobby, people possibly dying. Brant here is going to comment, make a joke, and then Fred will follow up with a comment that's basically caused all this. So let's see, hopefully at the right spot.
Your title screen was, wargaming is dying again. I don't know that anybody's looking around at wargaming going, man, wargaming is dying. Wargamers might be dying, but I don't think.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, Brent. Like, it might be good for the hobby that a few of them die. But to be fair, I think it
might be good for the hobby if a few of them die. So yeah, probably not appropriate thing to say. And then his apology, you can find that video, his apology down here, sort of apology right here. I'm not going to read it again, but yeah, it's just, I think most of us find it lacking. So 2 comments. You said there's 2. Is there two over there, Mo? I'll check them out. We'll pull them up here quick. Stay tuned, everybody. More breaking news just coming in. Reporter on the scene. What else does he say? Is it there on the YouTube comment? I'll find it. Oh, he made another comment, Mo? Okay. And so, I mean, I said this before. I'll say it again. I did not watch the whole hour live stream podcast, whatever you want to call it. I did not watch the whole hour. I just wanted to see the comments. Starts with the first comment, they laugh, and then he says it wouldn't be a bad thing. Oh yeah, well yeah, okay. I think I played all that. Yeah, wouldn't be a bad thing if a few of them died off. So yeah, it's sorry, a little miscommunication there. So it does happen, but hey, I apologize. See how easy that was? So yeah, and I know even here we have a little argument of people saying, was it a joke? Was it not a joke? I don't know his intentions, right? And that's where it's, I can't speak to Fred's intentions, but I can speak to what he said. We just saw it, right? The proof is there. It's on the internet. It's on this video. If he goes back and deletes his apology, which is why I actually saved it separately, but he didn't delete it or edit it yet, which looking like he probably won't. But also, the perception. So I don't know what his intention was. I have no idea. But what he said factually, and then now the perception, and the perception is not good. Is not good at all. So I think we can do better as a hobby. We can do better as people involved in the hobby. He is not even, just a war game player / person, right? And he is a designer, and he is someone who's out there. I've seen him do interviews. I don't really watch him, but I've seen interviews with him. He now does this, right? This podcast live stream with Liz and Brant. He is a personality, right? A content creator, war game personality, whatever you want to call it, hobby personality. And his opinion is out there, and his opinion carries more weight because of that. He is a game designer, and he is on shows. He is on videos. He's on interviews, written interviews. His opinion carries more weight than the average person does. And so he has a responsibility, in my opinion. This is my opinion, but again, the whole video is my opinion, other than what he factually said. But, he carries more responsibility because of that, being a public figure, right? Putting things out into the public. And so when he says that, and this is the reaction, factually what he said, and then the perception and people's reactions, that's not good. It's not good for the hobby. It's not good for him, but it's not good for the hobby. And I care more about the hobby than I do Fred Serval. I have nothing against him, but I care about the hobby. I don't want to ignore something like this, but I also don't want it to be defining characteristic for war gamers and the hobby. And oh, look what they say. And then because then it's also reinforcing stereotypes of people who listen to that and see those comments and think, see, I knew that war gamers were, this certain way, right? This stereotype of war gamers being grognards in a negative sense, not the positive fun of grognards and, people who are nerds or geeks or hobbyists or whatever, right? But no, the actual negative connotations of grognard, which you see out there, that's what it seems like he's kind of reinforcing. Or you'd have people that see his comment, hear his comment, and think to themselves, oh yeah, he's right. That's a good point. It's not a good point. Wishing people pass away is not a good point. Not just literally talking about normal people who are part of a hobby. That's what you want. You want them to pass away. You want them to die. And that's really going to improve the hobby. Older, experienced designers, game players, content creators, whoever, it's better for our hobby if they die. I don't think so. I don't want to be, how can you disagree strongly with that? I do disagree strongly with that. How can I get it across that that's not okay that he said that? And you're seeing that in people's reactions, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the comments there. Not as many because it's, the direct video itself. You're not seeing a lot of comments, but you saw some live comments in the video. People's later on in the video, if you watch it, start saying, hey, that's dark. That's not funny. And then people here in this video today. So Yeah, I mean, no, let's end on a high note. Much better from our hobby. If I won the $1 billion Powerball, I'd build the ultimate wargame perpetual convention site, and we'd have the debate room, we'd have the solo room, we'd have the multiplayer room, we would have. I'm spending your money for you. Sorry, Mo. We would have the newbie room, everyone welcome. We would have the assistant design room. We'd have all kinds of stuff. We'd have a flea market, get games for cheap, get games started. We'd have teaching areas. If you want to learn OCS, we're gonna welcome. If you got all day or all week to learn, welcome. So spending your money. Wargamer Chalet. All right. Well, hey, everybody. I think we'll wrap it up. It's been 1 hour and 20. I think that's long enough. Hopefully, everyone who kind of wanted to know what was said just got a chance to see it. Again, rewatch the video here. Click back. I think I played 3 separate times. You can see it. The actual. I don't know if this will post. So this is the video that he made the comments in at approximately 44:20. I think you want to start it at 44 minutes 20 seconds, if that link shows up. So is this a weekly show? I don't know, maybe. So I used to do a weekly show, right? So anyone who's been around for a while knows I did a weekly show. I don't know if I'm going to go back to a weekly show. I used to do it, I think, Friday at noon, didn't I? Because I think it worked really well for a lot of people, and it worked well for me in my schedule. But we'll see. You do a video on Warfighter Fantasy? Pretty controversial, that one. Ooh, Royce. I'm going to do I should have turned off the video right, end the stream right there. See what people say, but maybe. We'll see. I'm busted out of plastic yet. David, can you prayers for your wife and son, my man? Hey, I appreciate that. Vern, my son, doing so good. It's just awesome. Every day he's growing, sprouting, he's getting bigger, and he's oh my God, he's this close to walking, this close to talking. It's going to be crazy when he does. So. Yeah, that's right. Hit the like button and subscribe to him. Subscribe, by the way. One of these people, you freeloaders here watching all my content for free. Says, thanks, Wayne, for the talk. Sorry for not being on the channel as before. Work and family issues. Hey, no worries. I will never. Work and family comes first. I will never. You need family, right? It comes first. Work second. But you need work, right? You need money to pay the bills and all that. So would never ever question that. Always value a lot of your opinions and channel. Hope we could talk. Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, thank you for that, and thank you for watching and tuning in, listening to my opinion, and participating with everybody. So I know I can't. I mean, I say I can't wait. I'm at the time will come, and I'll go, oh no, but God, I can't wait. He's the best. So, all right, everybody, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much. Much more content to come. I'm sure I'll be addressing the next controversy that shows up in the wargaming community. And then you guys better tune in so we can chat about it. So thanks, everybody, again. And everyone have a great day, great weekend. Hey, appreciate that, Daniel. But yeah, all you guys, appreciate being part of this. Appreciate being part of the channel and part of this awesome hobby we got. Don't forget, great hobby. We're going to make it that way. Keep wargaming great. Yeah, I said it.